which I don't believe is a monolith. It has a very particular cultural location, right, in the historical trajectory of what we call the West. And the technology, it has sort of written over nature as, historically, as sort of dead matter that can be used towards instrumental ends, right, towards human ends. So we can do with what we want with this dead matter and make technologies that benefit human beings, make houses, computers, all these sorts of things, medical technologies, whatever. You can treat animals in certain ways. It has a specific way that it looks at the rest of the natural world. Well, I began to think, what would a ethic for developing technologies look like, given the doctrines of ensoulment, that everything is sort of alive, ahimsa, non-absolutism, and I knew I was going to need my notes for this. Non-absolutism and relativity, chain relativity. So non-absolutism and relativity being two slightly different things. But what would developing scientific technologies look like? And I began to think, well, then you have to start thinking about planetary technologies. And by planetary, I mean that human beings are just one perspective, right? And if you're looking at the doctrine of non-absolutism and relativity, just one perspective out of many. So what would it mean to make technology for forests? What would it mean to make technology for polar bears, for rivers, for oceans? Not just to solve a problem for human beings, but to help a thriving planetary community. And this will be written up in the form of an article at some point, not fast enough, but at some point in the spring. So that's one project that came out of this, and I'll be discussing that later on in my course that I'm teaching right now, which is Religion, Nature, and Globalization, which you're in, so you'll hear about it. The other project is a more long-term project that has to do with sort of methodology of religious knowing. And what I'm looking at there is, not to be too boring and academic, but I'm looking at what's called negative theologies in the history of the Christian West. Again, the doctrine of non-absolutism and relativity in Jainism, and what's known as deconstructionism and philosophy in the West. And I'm saying, what does it mean for our epistemologies, our ways of knowing, when we realize that we can never fully know? Right? For deconstructionism, it's usually meant, well, it's hard to get an ethic out of it. But I think Jainism might be a little bit more constructive in its sort of implicit deconstruction by which we can develop ethics out of this method. And so that's kind of in a more broad way of talking about it, what I'm doing in that area. So these two major projects are coming out of it. We're also looking at ways to widen this collaboration that Dr. Katz, myself, and others in South and Southeast Asia as well, to bring together people and discuss what does religious pluralism mean for South and Southeast Asia, because it means something different there than it does here. So all these things and more came out of my time this summer in India, and I think Dr. Katz, I think the community for providing the funds that allowed me to do this. Thank you.